much. Mzee Tumpendwa, Mheshimiwa Ezekiel Machogu, Cabinet Secretary for Education, His Excellency the Governor, Super Senator who laid the foundation for Mandera County, members of Parliament who are present, and all the protocols observed. Good afternoon once again. And mine is probably to, before I maybe proceed, I would like to recognize Mheshimiwa Harun and for doing a lot of efforts. This is the man who has supported me in the Education Committee to push for the budget. I remember, if you want to see him fighting, just go to the Education Committee halls, where the last time we were being left out in the supplementary budget. We had to move day and night to make sure we were actually allocated. So whatever effort you see the ministry has done is through the Education Committee, and the effort of Mr. Harun is very important. And Waziri, if you heard the committee report very well, there's a gentleman that made a question on us, Mr. Mohammed Abdunur. Mohammed actually was a former teacher when I was a high school principal of Wajir High School. He was also in Sabule. I remember I nominated him to go and attend a training in Japan. That capacity is actually evident in him. So the question he told us, he asked, which I'm sure the Waziri was trying to ponder, is integration of Duks and Madrasa has been accepted in the Constitution. It is there in the Basic Education Act. Section 95(2)(e) of the Basic Education Act provides for. What is the problem? This is where the question is. And the challenge here has always been our ability to operationalize the provisions of the Constitution and the Act. And the Waziri, the Presidential Working Party, has given a directive that this be operationalized, and that when you in KICD, I'm sure you give us each sector to make sure they operationalize what was provided. To this extent, NACONEK has constituted a technical team comprising of the Ministry of Education, the Kenya Qualification Authority, KICD, NEC, and 8 subject matter experts who are sheikhs, who have the ability to create and establish the Duksi curriculum. So what has actually been the challenge has always been for us to move the children from Duksi to school. We only need to deal with one problem. That is to integrate the Duksi teacher to the school system. And we are now dealing with this. Already the curriculum is at the advanced stage, and the role of Kenya Qualification Authority, which has actually, which recognizes through the prior learning, which have actually launched. I know you attended their workshop, and in November you're also launching. You will hear so much of the Duksi issue in the RPL policy, which is actually coming up. So we are doing a very good job, and we're making sure that within 6 months we'll have the Duksi curriculum. And the role of KICD through your instructions will help us to anchor Duksi curriculum into the basic education framework, such that we'll be able to timetable Duksi within the school systems. So that's already happening, and we're addressing. I remember when we were trying to consult the communities, Mzee Ali Roba was the governor of Mandera, and in a forum in Garissa, he really supported the move to integrate Duksi and Madrasa. And one of the reasons why the children are out of school is because Duksi systems are not regulated. There's no regulation. They do not have a regulator. They do not have timelines. They do not have, basically they have no structure. So they keep the children in the school. And Waziri, I want to give you one important information. Why the Muslims want to take their children to Duksi is because they believe that when they die, there are 3 things that will accompany them to the grave. Number 1, it will be the relatives who will follow you to the grave to make sure that you are buried. Number 2 will be your wealth that will be used probably to also support your grave that day. And number 3, and the most important, is your deed on earth. What you did here is what will help you in the grave. But one other item that can only support you in the grave, the Muslims believe, is the prayers of a pious son or daughter. So why they are taking the children to Duxi is, if they take them to school, this kid will start learning English or mathematics and a few sciences and the rest for this world. By the time you die, he will not pray for you because he has no competency for prayers. So unaona unabeba msalaba huko peke yako and you have nobody to help you. So ukihitaji usaidizi from outside, ingie kwa grave, it is the prayers of the pious son and daughter. And they must be prepared. That is why technically the children are kept out of school, because by the time ukikufa, at least you want the prayers of your daughter and your son to come and help you. Kuokoa jihazi wakati uko ndani. So that is so what we did initially, our approach was to help the county government come up with a bill and anchor it in the county government. But now we have shifted gear because we want to support them from national government. The basic education is already providing the provision. We want to ensure that now Duxi becomes a national agenda and no longer a county affair. Waziri, one item is about the school feeding program. Mandera is a working county. This is where my heart is. And today you have launched the school feeding program, you have seen. What we are doing as a country is that we want to transit into a homegrown solution. Currently, the kind of provision we are doing for Mandera and the Asal region is called the in-kind, where we are moving food from Nairobi centrally purchased to come here and it goes. One of the components, items that actually is the meal for the children is rice, which is largely imported. We are shifting away from this and we are moving with the support of partners. We want to make sure that the local community in Mandera will grow their own food, such that they grow maize, and that maize will be converted into a whole grain fortified maize and will replace rice. As you mentioned rightly, a partnership between the Rockefeller Foundation, government of Qatar, and the Ministry of Education is now committing about 30 million USD to support, and Mandera has already been identified as a pilot. This will come officially when we probably will be launching once again to see to it that they grow. You know, when the community grows their own maize, and the maize now is converted into whole grain, and the money is provided through the schools to be bought by the schools or through a certain aggregation that will be agreed upon, people will consume. If you want the Somali habit to move from rice, we allow them to grow and we buy from them. But if it is a matter of lifting food, they will tell you, we want rice. Mambo story of Ugala Tutaki. Because they know it is being lifted. So we want to make sure we catalyze through the school feeding program to ensure that they grow. Otherwise, I'm happy, Waziri. I think you are one of the first minister that has ever come to Mandera in the history of Kenya. Am I right? After Peter Oringo. But under the devolution, you are the first one. Hiyo kikombe iko sasa. Mambo ya kutuambia other ministers came in, tuweke kanda kwanza. Education minister is a first. So Karibu Waziri, this is your second home. And thank you very much. I wouldn't like to take much of my time, but I would like to congratulate the Governor Mandera and his predecessor, Honorable Hadi Roba, who has laid the foundation. He is the only governor who has been able to make sure that he has put up a succession plan. He has achieved whatever he did and came with a succession plan which has succeeded. Some of our former governors cannot influence the election of a cockroach after they have left offices. They cannot even bring in a ward assembly member from their village. Thank you, Wanaroba. If there will be a position that will come up in the review and will require somebody for Greater Northern Kenya, including NFD, the whole NFD, then you are the candidate. Thank you very much.